Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Smackdown recap for Smackdown on the 18th of November 2022. I am Nick the Geek. Lovely to see you all here. Great show this week. Absolutely fantastic show. Just from start to finish. Great angles, great storytelling, really good matches. No fault. So let's get straight into it, shall we? First things first, started with the Brawling Brute promo. The Brutes came out first, then Drew came out afterwards. They had a good chit-chat about how Drew and Sheamus have had a 20-year rivalry and it's bred mutual respect, and that's why they're willing to team together. There's none of this can they coexist nonsense. They're brothers in arms. That's why Drew is his best man at his wedding 3 weeks ago, and they're going to go to war together. And then Rich Holland interrupts and goes, "This is fine, but there's still 4 of us and 5 of them." Sheamus goes to say, well, the 5th man, I'm going to tell you who the 5th man is now. And then Sami Zayn interrupts. Sammy comes out to an ungodly pop. That boy is so over right now. It is unreal. Comes out shouting, "My dogs, my dogs, my dogs," which just made me laugh. It makes me laugh every single time. Sammy is so funny. Comes out and Sammy basically guarantees that not only will he beat Butch in the main event in the SmackDown World Cup tonight, but he guarantees victory for the Bloodline in War Games. We then go from this segment to our first match, which was Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali. Well, we went from Ricochet's entrance to an advert break to Mustafa Ali's entrance to a Bloodline segment where Jimmy Uso was ripping on Sammy for, "Why are you promising victories? Why are you promising victories?" And Sammy's like, "What are you talking about? Do you not think we're going to win?" Then Jimmy calmed everybody down and said, "Look, we've got business to handle. Roman's on his way. We need to make sure that we know who the 5th man is. We need to find out." Everybody agrees. They all go their separate ways and we then cut back to the match. Phenomenal match between Ricochet and Mustafa Ali. Really played into the fact that Mustafa Ali has got injured ribs at the moment after he was decimated by Bobby Lashley on Monday, and really putting it to the fighting heart of Mustafa Ali, even though it's to the detriment of his physicality. He's always willing to fight. Hello, David. Yeah, wasn't easy and simple connection made with Drew and Sheamus. Best way to go. Hi, mate. Where was I? Yeah, so Mustafa Ali and Ricochet. Fantastic match. At one point, Mustafa Ali hit a backstabber off the top rope before they went to break again, which was unbelievable. Lots of back and forth, loads of big spots, and Ricochet eventually won with a shooting star onto a standing Mustafa Ali into a pin. Phenomenal spot. Excellent timing, which, as you know, I'm big on timing. Loved it. Fantastic. No complaints at all. Ricochet moves on to the SmackDown World Cup. We then went to another break. When we came back, there was an advert for Bray. Apparently, he's going to make amends for what he did to LA Knight last week, which I was intrigued to find out what he meant by that. We then went to a progressive match flow for the New Day versus the Usos from last week, showing the highlights of the tremendous match where the Usos lost and the Usos won, and the New Day were no longer the longest reigning tag team champions of all time. Hello, Brandon. Nobody. Hey, Jimmy. Good to see you. Where was I? All these comments, they throw me off. I'll get there eventually. One of these days, I'll be able to do this synchronistically without it winding up. And with a better camera. Yeah, so we then cut to a promo with the New Day backstage with was it Kayla Braxton? I think it was Kayla Braxton. New Day backstage, and they are basically talking about how they're not happy that they lost. They're quite depressed. They're no longer the longest reigning tag team champions. They worked hard for this. They worked hard for that. And then they were interrupted by Imperium. Imperium start running them down, basically saying that they've made a joke of tag team wrestling for too long. And that is why it is Imperium's job to now pick up the pieces and return honor and dignity to the sacredness that is the wrestling mat. New Day basically turn around and say, "Oh, this is fine. If you don't want to do this like men, we'll challenge you. You 3 go out there. We'll meet you. We'll get a partner and we'll meet you later on." Set up a 6-man tag for later on in the night. We then went from this to Madcap Moss versus Madcap Moss promo backstage, where they are. Everybody knows now, at least most people know, that Madcap Moss and Emma are a thing in real life. They have become a couple, shall we say. So now WWE are leaning into this, and there was lots of longing looks between the two as Emma basically pepped him up for his match against Cross, his rematch that he was going to have. We then cut to the match between Cross and Madcap. The crowd were not into this match. There was noise, but it was the noise of people talking to each other, not the noise of people cheering on a match. It was not what I would call stellar. I mean, it was your standard carrying cross match, very short, quite hard hitting, ends with Cross hitting the cross jacket again and choking him out. Nothing special, no biggies, lots of Scarlet interference, standard carrying cross match, Cross moves on. Yeah, he won with the cross jacket choke. We then went to the 5th break of the night. By the way, I just have to go through. There were 10 advert breaks in tonight's SmackDown. 10. Normally, there's 8. I count them every week. Why we need to have 10 this week, just because the World Cup is coming up and they want to promote it to death on Fox, I do not know. But having 10 advert breaks in any program that is only 2 hours long is way too many. Like, way too many. I don't know how you Americans put up with it on your television. It's absolutely insane. I'm assuming you just all TiVo everything. You don't watch it live. We move on from Karrion Kross and Madcap Moss to Bray's Wyatt segment. This was masterful. Like, I love everything Bray does. His entrance is truly captivating. I've written that down. Bray's entrance is truly captivating. He's the first guy since The Undertaker whose entrance literally makes you sit there in awe and watch it, even when he's just coming down the ring to get a promo. But he comes down the ring, he starts talking about his past, starts talking about how the road, he's not proud of the road that he's paved behind him, and he's trying to make amends, but he doesn't know if he can change. And just as he starts to get into the meat and bones of his promo, he is interrupted by LA Knight. LA Knight, one of my favorite wrestlers. The man is gold on the microphone. He's the perfect opponent, in my opinion, for Bray's first feud since he's come back, due to the fact that it is someone that can not only go back and forth with him on the microphone, but has a distinctly different style in the ring and on the mic to Bray, which will hopefully complement each other, and we should get a fantastic thing out of this. But Bray wanted to apologize to LA Knight. LA Knight comes out and says, "Yeah, really? You want to apologize to me?" Gets in the ring, says, "I think there's respect here. When I'm looking in your eyes, I think you respect me. So, apology accepted." Bray goes to shake his hand. LA Knight slaps him. Says, "We're even now. We're even." And Bray's like, "Fine. We're even, man. We're even. Shake my hand. There's many things I'd like to do to you right now, but I'm going to fight these urges. And you're going to shake my hand, and we're going to be even." LA Knight goes to shake his hand, slaps him again. Walks off, basically saying, "You're in LA Knight's game. That's what happens. I've been waiting to do that all week." Just phenomenal segment. So well done. Both guys are so good on the mic. Everybody was intrigued. LA Knight is super over as a heel. He's getting not go away heat, but we don't like you heat, and that is perfect. Couldn't be happier with what's going on. Right, let's have a check of some of the comments. Thanks, Sheldon. Hello, Deshaun. You say Madcap's the future. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see it. The guy's athletic. He's got strength. He's got speed, but there's something missing. Maybe it's the fact that they've just not given him a character at all. He's got generic music. He's got generic tights, and he wrestles generically. He needs something if he's going to be one of the next big things in that company. Cross does not need a haircut. He looks suitable with that. It suits him. It's better than the man pretending he's bald. I don't understand it really. Yes, Bray is bringing back the heat. David? Okay, I will. I will watch that, and I will do a review of it on the channel, I promise. No worries, David. And I have seen that match, and it's fantastic. So I will quite happily break that one down. Yep, thank you. There's an electric like The Rock, the way he could... Yes! Thank you, Deshaun. I've said this for ages. If you close your eyes when LA Knight speaks, he sounds like The Rock. They have the exact same accent. I think they're from the same part of the country. I could be wrong on this. But LA Knight is like they took Steve Austin, The Rock, and Ric Flair, mixed their DNA, and LA Knight is what you get. The guy is gold. He may be in his 40s, so they need to pull the trigger on him now, but LA Knight is money. Yeah, he really did. Perfect. It was such a good heel move. The fact that he just slapped him across the face and then just ran and got out of dodge, which was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Bray should have been the one to end the streak, right, without a shadow of a doubt. But anyway, back to the show. So after the Bray segment, we went to a flashback to Shotzi and Ronda backstage last week, where Shayna choked her out, because this week Shotzi is taking on Shayna. This was an okay match. It wasn't really a showcase for either woman. It was more of a let's get Ronda and have as much interference as we can possibly have from Ronda Rousey in one match without her getting physically involved. Which is fine, because they need to build up the Shotzi match. But in my opinion, Shayna should have won here. Shotzi's an underdog, so have her go into the match at Survivor Series as a real underdog. That she wasn't able to beat Shayna's lackey, Ronda's lackey, that she wasn't be able to beat Ronda's number two. And that puts in more pressure for her, and it puts in the question of, can she do it? Can she do it? Can she do it? As opposed to what everybody's thinking, which is Shotzi's going to get mauled by Ronda Rousey. Over-doubt is sometimes better than overconfidence, if that makes any sense at all to anybody watching. But this was an okay match. Shayna did what Shayna does best. She brutalized her, and Shotzi can comebacks. Ronda interfered about 15 times, getting on the apron, getting in Shotzi's face, doing everything else, until eventually Raquel Rodriguez came out to the ring to even the odds. Shayna got distracted. Shotzi rolls her up with the most devastating move in all sports entertainment. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. Shotzi wins the match. So unfortunately, by the looks of it, as feared, Shayna Baszler is becoming the woman that people beat on the way to facing Ronda. She's probably going to be very good in this role. I can't complain at this, but I love Shayna, and I'd like to see a lot more for her. I just hope at the end of this, the whole point of her becoming Ronda's lackey is that she will be the final boss that Ronda can't beat. And we will eventually come down to a Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey match, and Shayna will win. That's just me, though. So, but I'm probably wrong. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, completely agree, David. Yeah, I completely agree. It made it look stupid. Like, so what? Raquel walked down to the ring, and all of a sudden you're going to get pinned because she didn't touch her. She didn't interfere in the match. She just stood on the entranceway. Shayna looked like a fool. And you shouldn't be booking Shayna Baszler look like a fool. You should be booking Shayna Baszler look like a killer. At least have Shotzi get a DQ win because Shayna loses control or just goes overboard on her. But I don't book WWE. Their women's division, especially on Smackdown, needs a lot of work lately. And honestly, I just can't wait for Charlotte to get back. I know a lot of people have issues with Charlotte Flair, but that girl is a star. She brings a lot of presence to the women's division. And I think they need her again. Okay, after the Ronda Shotzi match, what do we have? Then we went from that to a 6th advert break, and after the 6th advert break, we went back, and Karrion Kross and Scarlett were walking backstage. They get bumped into by the Usos. The Usos start questioning Kross as whether he's going to be the 5th man for the Brawling Brutes, and Kross basically turns around and says, when I come for Roman's titles, and I will come alone, because I don't need help, which I thought was very good. It was carried the building. It made it look good. And the Usos didn't look too stupid because they stood there and didn't look like cowards. They actually stood up to Kross. After this, we went to... Where were we? Sorry, I'm just checking my notes, guys. I write a lot of these things, so... Then we cut to LA Knight leaving. LA Knight leaving in a hurry. Fantastic promo. He gets hijacked by interview robot 5. She asks him why she's going. He basically says, your questions are trash. Yeah, that's just a fact of life, and leaves. But as he's leaving, you see a lantern in the background, which goes out just before he shuts the door, which I thought was very good. We then go to an advert break. When we come back, LA Knight has been absolutely decimated and just covered in a pile of debris. Chairs, tables, anvil cases, just everything. Very similar to the pile of debris that Bray Wyatt was left under in Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins. I don't know if that was intentional or whether it's just they wanted to show how impactful a beatdown it was without actually showing the beatdown. We then cut to our 4th match, which was Imperium versus the New Day and their not-so-surprising partner, Braun Strowman. And this match is exactly what I figured it was. This match has all but confirmed to me that Braun Strowman is winning the World Cup and going after Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. We discussed this, me and Jimmy discussed this the other day, and I believe this is only good if Gunther wins. If the whole point of Braun winning this World Cup is he's going to get up to Gunther and then Gunther is going to chop him down and win the match by any means necessary to put Gunther over as a dominant Intercontinental Champion, I am absolutely fine with this. If the whole point of the World Cup is to put the workers' belt on Braun friggin' Strowman, I am not down with this. Braun Strowman should not be Intercontinental Champion. He certainly shouldn't be Intercontinental Champion before Sheamus, for God's sake. It is not the belt for Braun. I really hope the whole point of this, him winning, is to lose to Gunther, because Braun can eat losses. So that doesn't really make a difference. But this match was good. It started with a brawl. Then we went to a break. When we came back from a brawl, Imperium had taken over. They cut the ring off for a while, and eventually Braun gets in. Gunther has avoided Braun from the entire match. They had a stare down at the start of the match, and Gunther just walked away. Gets in the ring, ducks a Braun clothesline, hits him with a big, massive chop. Braun just absorbs it and stands there like a beast. And Gunther looks exceedingly shocked. As we all know, most of Gunther's chops take most men down to their knees in professional wrestling, but this one barely made a scratch. Gunther was scared of Braun. I actually like this angle because it is something Gunther has not come up against before, somebody bigger than him. As I said, as long as Gunther wins this feud, I am 100% behind it. I think it will be perfect for him to take down one of the biggest men in the company and look like a strong champion. Whether they do this, I don't know, but this is how I book it.
Let's go back to the comments.
No, I'll give you that. Brandon. There are similarities between DDP and LA Knight. Obviously, LA got into the business earlier than Page did. He got into it in his 20s, not in his 30s. But they're both in that point that Page's career was at where it really took off, when WCW actually started taking notice of Diamond Dallas Page and went, ooh, maybe he could be more than the big Carter. Well, I think that's the point they've reached with LA Knight in WWE. I think Triple H knows who he is. He's looked at him. He knows this guy is a star. He knows he can sell tickets, put asses in seats, so he's pushing him while he can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best way I can put it on the Diamond Dallas Page comparison is that DDP was a working man's champion. He was the original People's Champion. Sorry to all you Rock fans, but DDP was the People's Champion before The Rock. LA Knight is the antithesis of that character. However, he's very similar to Diamond Dallas Page's just won the lottery character from the early 90s, where he used to come out of the ring in fur coats and smoking cigars before the storyline of where he went bankrupt and broke and lost his diamond doll. I think LA Knight has more potential than Page. I love Diamond Dallas Page. I'm a huge fan of his, but I believe that LA Knight's potential as a professional wrestler, his ceiling is a lot higher than Page's ceiling. Page's ceiling was World Heavyweight Champion with all the people behind him. Without the people behind him as a heel champion, he didn't really succeed. LA Knight is a perfect heel. He's arrogant, he's egotistical, he's self-centered. The man is brilliant. And to see him finally getting the push and to see him getting pushed against Bray Wyatt, of all people, has me happier than Larry. But I completely agree with the comparison. DDP and LA have a very, even the in-ring style is very similar. They're both methodical, catch-as-catch-can, hard-hitting guys where everything they do looks slightly rough, except one or two moves that they have down to an absolute T. And that's intentional. It's not there because they're sloppy. It's there because their style is rough, ready, and meant to go. Right, anyway, back to the show. So, after Imperium took over during the break, as I say, then Braun comes into the match. Gunther chops him down, doesn't work. Gunther gets chased off by Braun. New Day hit the midnight hour. Gunther comes in to break the pin. Braun comes in. Gunther runs away again. New Day and Braun win the match. Systematic, nice, easy tag match to follow. No real shocks, no real surprises. And the whole point of the thing was to build up intrigue for Gunther versus Braun. And I'm fine with that. That's what TV is supposed to be used for. TV and wrestling is supposed to be there to build to your pay-per-view matches, to your marquee matches. So that's what you're using it for, and I'm 100% behind it. We then cut immediately to a Kayla Braxton and Braun Strowman promo backstage, where Kayla asked Braun, congratulations, but what are you going to do in the semi-finals of the World Cup? And he says, it doesn't matter about the semi-finals. I'm going to win the whole thing, and I'm going to take on Gunther. Then Ricochet shows up. Because Ricochet won his match earlier, he obviously advanced in the World Cup. He is going to be facing Braun next week on Smackdown in the semi-final, where he will, I'm assuming, be absolutely destroyed. But Ricochet comes in and says, well, if you keep looking past all these flippy boys, your words, not mine, then you're going to probably have bad luck. Sorry to throw this at you, Ricochet, but you've got about minus 33% and a third chance of winning next week, especially after the whole setup with Gunther versus Braun in the tag match. It's pretty obvious who's winning this World Cup right now. The only person I feel sorry for is Santos Escobar. He's exceedingly good new talent. They stuck him in this World Cup to be thrown away. He's probably going to lose next week to Butch. Actually, no. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do the final. I'd have Santos Escobar beat Pete Dunne, just because they need to showcase Santos a bit more. He's new to the roster. Everybody already knows what Pete can do. And Santos versus Braun should be good because you'll have Legado del Fantasma there to throw interference and get in the way, and that way it won't be a complete squash from Braun to Santos. It'll actually throw a bit of competitive edge in there because will his men get involved? Will they cost Braun the match? That sort of thing. Back in the cards. Hello, Courtney. How are you? Exactly. Exactly. You wouldn't be unfamiliar with it at all. He's a born and bred world champion. That's probably about right, David. Right, but we go there from the Imperium New Day tag match to immediately following our main event of the evening. Pete Dunne, Butch himself, versus the Great Liberator, Sami Zayn, with the Bloodline and the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre ringside. This match was exactly what this match needed to be, a complete cluster. Lots of good back and forth between Sami and Pete. Lots of joint manipulation for Pete. Classic wrestling from him. Lots of Blue Thunder bombs, power bombs, Sami Zayn. Lots of back and forth with the Bloodline and Brawling Brutes getting closer and closer to attacking each other as the match goes on. Eventually, it does break down. The Brutes and the Bloodline start brawling with each other. Why the referee doesn't kick them into the back, I don't know, but he didn't. Eventually, Pete goes for a clothesline in the corner. Sami catches him, reverses it into the exploder suplex. Sami goes for the haluva kick. But as Sami is going for the haluva kick, Jey Uso is thrown inside the ring in front of him, in front of Pete Dunne, and gets in the way. He gets in the way. He doesn't hit the haluva kick. Sami gets confused, starts arguing with Jey, turns around, Pete Dunne grips him. Boom, bitter end. Your winner and moving on in the World Cup, Pete Dunne. Butch. Over the moon. Now, I'm British. Pete's British, so I'm a happy boy. But I'm more than that. Pete Dunne is one of the best wrestlers on the roster in ring. He is fantastic. He is so skilled for his age. It is unreal. Technically, physically, he's got everything. He can even cut a promo. And for someone his age, that's rare. And Pete Dunne's timing is second to none. The kid knows where he needs to be at what time and when in the ring. And that is really hard to do. This match was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I was super excited when it started. It ends with a huge brawl between the Brutes and the Bloodline. Roman Reigns' music hits. The Tribal Chief comes out to the ring, absolutely cleans house, takes out takes out Ridge, takes out Butch, gets in the ring, starts beating down with Drew McIntyre, takes out Drew McIntyre. Then Sheamus gets in the ring, starts brawling with Sheamus. Then Solo Sikoa gets back in the ring. Sami Zayn gets back in the ring. Because the distraction to Sheamus, Roman hits the spear, takes over, and then Hugh's music should hit. I love being right. And I love being happy. Sprayed MCL my ass. Kevin Owens is not missing War Games. Kevin Owens is back. Kevin Owens is the fifth man. Kevin Owens is going to be in War Games. This match is going to rule. Comes down to the ring, beats everybody down, super kicks the Usos, clotheslines no, it doesn't touch Sami Zayn. So clothesline Solo Sikoa, gets to the ring, starts going for a beatdown with Roman. They start punching each other, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Kevin throws Owen into the corner, hits him with the Austin Mudhole, stomps for a while, turns around, and who's there but Sami Zayn? Sami and Kevin just stare at each other. Sami is dumbfounded. Like, he's got this look on his face that's just saying, how could you do this? How could you do this? Every time something good happens to me, you are there. Every time. It was just a look on his face. Sami's selling tonight was so freaking good. Like, he is so good at selling, and people do not get enough credit for how well they sell in the business today. And Sami Zayn's selling is second to none. He is so freaking good. His facials, the emotion he projects is so good. But Kevin got distracted. Roman hits the Superman punch. Roman goes for the spear. Kevin ducks out the way. Boom, stunner. Kevin Owens leaves Roman Reigns flying. The Bloodline get out of the ring. They're on the entrance ramp. Brawling Brutes, Drew, and Kevin Owens stand tall. Smackdown goes off the air. We are perfectly set for War Games next Saturday. I'm super excited. This was a fantastic show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we do here at WrestleBuddy, if you like the content that we tune out, please leave a like, subscribe to the page, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything we do in the future. It's free, it helps us out, and it's the best way to really support the channel. And it's the only way the YouTube algorithm knows we exist. It's true. It's true. So, I've been Nick the Geek. I love you all. Please continue to tune in. I cannot stress enough how much it means to me that everybody tunes in and watches this little show I do every week. I love doing this. I love professional wrestling. I love recapping SmackDown. Thank you so much. I've been Nick the Geek. I'll see you next week. Bye.